I am the devil, and I am here to do the devil's work.
A review 20 years in the making and 6 years too late. When Rob Zombie made his first film, House of a Thousand Corpses, and was just about to finish it up, he got this vague idea of a crazy relative sheriff coming to take revenge for a family member's murder by the Firefly family. That tiny little idea became what is now Devil's Rejects. Directed, of course, by Rob Zombie, starring Sid Haig, Bill Moseley, Sherry Moon Zombie, Will Forsythe, Danny Trejo, Diamond Dallas Page, Ken Foree, Brian Posen, Michael Berryman, and PJ Soles. 3 members of the Firefly family are on the run, with a psychotic sheriff on their tail in search of vengeance and in search of blood. Now, guys, this is a review I should have done 6 years ago when I did the other 2 movies in the franchise. I don't know how I skipped Devil's Rejects. I think it was just time and chance. We were doing different challenges and things of the like back then, and, you know, an opportunity came up for House of a Thousand Corpses, and an opportunity came up for 3 from Hell, but not for Devil's Rejects. And I always said I was going to review this one when I felt the time was right, and, well, I guess that's 2026. Guys, I've never made no bones about it. For those of you that have been watching the channel for a long time or know me, you know that this is one of my favorite horror films. I absolutely love this movie. It's such a weird transitional film. You have these totally bad, despicable characters that you should be hating, and in this film, in a weird way, you fall in love with them, and that's crazy. It's absolutely crazy to me. And it shows the power of what can be done when you have the right elements for a film. And I'm going to go over those elements here in just a second. So in this movie, Leslie Easterbrook replaces Karen Black as Mama Firefly. And the reason why they had to do that replacement was that Karen Black wanted to get more money, which she probably deserved, and I understand it. But unfortunately, Rob Zombie was footing most of the bill for this himself. He had some studio backing after the, studio got their money back on day 1 of the theatrical release for House of a Thousand Corpses. But it was still limited, and he would have had to come up with her salary himself. And at the time, he had sunk a lot of his money. People don't know this, but he had sunk a lot of his money into these films and other projects, and he didn't have it. He didn't have the money to pay her, so they had to recast. This movie has a 6.7 out of 10 on IMDb, and in my opinion, that is just fucking criminal. It's absolutely fucking criminal. This is a phenomenal horror film. Most of the critics really dug it. There was 1 or 2 critics that gave it real shit reviews, and to those critics, I only say, fuck you. Zombie wanted kind of a documentary feel to this movie, so he actually hired a documentary filmmaker to shoot the film, to, be the cameraman and shoot the film for him. Zombie, I've always said, has a great eye for visuals and a great eye for shots, and that's no different in this movie. In fact, it's almost, I would say, at its peak in this film. There's one shot we're going to talk about a little bit later that just blows the mind and is absolutely fucking phenomenal. With all of that being said, I've never had a con for this film. Every part of this movie is fantastic. Very much in the vein of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it had some other influence as well. But the big difference between this movie and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where Texas Chainsaw Massacre set out to disturb and gross you out and just be completely fucking visceral. This movie, yes, it is visceral, but it also wanted to entertain you, and you can see that in the film. You can sense that in the film. You've got jokes, you've got humor, you've got characters that genuinely have love for one another, whether that love is misplaced or not. I love that this movie starts with chaos. I love that it starts with, the early morning stillness being broken by just absolute chaos. And I love that we get these gruesome images right at the beginning, but they're kind of dried and dustied over from the day before, the end of the last movie. And it almost puts like a kind of weird home-like vibe on it. And that's very weird to say, but it's true. The second thing, in my opinion, that really hits you in this movie, the exact second thing that hits you, is the music. I don't think there's ever been a better director when it comes to marrying music, the right music, to a soundtrack for a film. Music, I've said this before, can make or break a film. With the right music, you can completely change a film. The biggest case in point for that is Halloween. John Carpenter showed Halloween to some friends of his, other filmmakers, without the music, and they thought it was terrible. They put the music on the exact same footage, didn't change a thing but the music, and they thought it was phenomenal. The third biggest strength that this film has is that of the cast. Not just the original, but all the newer faces in the cast as well. PJ Souls is in this. She makes it really good. You got Danny Trejo and Diamond Dallas Page. They're awesome in this movie. Ken Faree is in the movie, and he just does a great job. He does a great job in every movie that he's done for Rob Zombie and quite a few others as well. You know, I mean, I love that guy. He's awesome. And Michael Berryman, the guy's a legend. I feel that this is the movie where Sherry Moon got to really stretch her acting chops a little bit more. You know, I've said it before in the first one, she's not that good. This one, she was quite a bit better, and she's gotten better consistently from film to film. You know, I was not the biggest fan of Lords of Salem, but it's a good acting job. She does a good job in it. There's just something about this movie, guys. There's something about it. It's a road trip movie. It's a horror film. It's an action film. It's a crazy, fucked up hillbilly film. A film that only Rob Zombie could have put together, I think. But something else struck me when I was watching it. Something I've never thought of before. This is basically Thelma and Louise for horror. It really is Thelma and Louise for horror. I didn't know why that analogy came to me, but it did. And I thought it was great. It's a great analogy, and it truly does get you from the beginning all the way to the end. At the beginning, you've got these characters that, if you watch the first film, you know are evil, despicable characters. And then by the end of the film, you're rooting for them. And it's not just when they're charging the police barricade. Yeah, that's when it picks up and you're like, come on, go. And, the shots and the bullets are flying and they're taking slugs, and it's pretty dope. I mean, they're in this giant pimp mobile, old Cadillac, and, they're on this long, empty stretch of highway. And we get this great helicopter shot. And this is where Rob Zombie's instincts as a director come in, this great helicopter shot. Nowadays, they could use a drone, but back then it was a helicopter. And this highway is winding through these hills. And, this helicopter is just following along beautifully, and Freebird is playing. And when I say that music can totally change a film, this is what I'm talking about. Music can completely change your feelings towards a character, your perception towards a character. Because here we have three characters that are evil, sadistic, masochistic, complete and utter bad in every way you can conceive. They are satanic. They are everything you want to hate in the world. And you hear the lyrics to Freebird, and it talks about never changing. And then you realize that, yes, they're all of those things, but they're also people that have stayed true to themselves throughout the entire thing. Whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, they stay who they are. They're not going to let anybody take that away from them or change that. And in their last act of defiance, they're going to go out in these blaze of glory, or at least in their opinion, blaze of glory, against this hailstorm of bullets. And they're fully defiant. You can fully see Baby mouthing, "Let's go, motherfuckers," you know? And they are just hauling ass towards this barricade. I mean, they stopped there for a while, and, you know, Otis, he's got his hands on the steering wheel, and he just kind of looks down a little and closes his eyes. And I almost wonder if at that moment, you know, I first thought, well, maybe his earlier statements about him not believing in God and all this stuff, I was wondering if he was almost praying at that time. But if he was, I know it wasn't to God he was praying to, because he wouldn't have changed. You know, I'm starting to really wonder how much people truly do change. I know that change is possible, but it has to be, I don't know if it can be just done by an inside source. It has to be brought on by an external source. That's just a personal opinion. But guys, I mean, this movie makes you feel all the way through it. You laugh with it. You have fun with it. At the end, you almost cry with it. And it lets you feel all these range of emotions for characters you should not be feeling these emotions for. You know, I've said it once and I've said it again. Rob Zombie, this is his peak of filmmaking. Regardless of what anybody says or what critics think, this is the greatest film he's ever put down on celluloid. So I'm going to leave you with one last thought. In the words of my other Super Slash Brothers, physical media matters. Pick this up on Blu-ray if you haven't done it already. Don't worry about 4K. It looks great on Blu-ray. And 2, Tutti fucking fruity.